We've all had our share of frights, but nothing compares to the terror that lies within the golden arches of McDonald's. Today, we're venturing into the heart of darkness as we recount 3 bone-chilling tales from the world's most famous fast food chain. Brace yourselves, for the horrors we are about to uncover are more unnerving than a Big Mac that's past its expiration date. So buckle up and prepare to be spooked, as the tales we're about to unfold are not for the faint-hearted. Number 1. Cursed Clown in the PlayPlace. Late-night shifts have a knack for both isolation and instilling a sense of dread. Every creak, beep, or sudden silence could send anyone's nerves into overdrive. This was especially the case for a young woman named Abby. She bore the duties of cleaning up the McDonald's PlayPlace after the raucous energy of the day's children had dissolved into the night. Bone-chilling stories of the infamous PlayPlace mascot, McScary the Clown, had always cast an eerie shadow over her duties at the restaurant. Allegedly molded as the sinister reflection of the ever-jovial Ronald McDonald, McScary began as a mere tall tale among the staff. Supposedly, years ago, an oddly disproportionate and uncanny clown statue was taken down due to frequent nightmares reported by children. As frightening as the lifeless figure was, things only escalated after its removal. The terrifying clown supposedly cursed the PlayPlace, ensuring that his unsettling presence always lingered. Children reported seeing his ghastly, grinning figure in corners of the colorful jungle of tubes and slides. These stories were dismissed as imaginative exaggerations, but Abby couldn't ignore the penetrating unease she felt whenever she stepped into the PlayPlace alone at the end of her shift. One fateful night, Abby reluctantly maneuvered herself into the multicolored labyrinth, armed with disinfectant spray and a heavy mop. Suddenly, she felt a cold gust of wind which made her skin crawl. As she foolishly dismissed it as the air conditioning, the inimical laughter of a clown echoed around the chilling silence. Following the terrifying soundscape, she found herself drawn to the corner that few children dared to venture into, a giant tube slide. As she leaned in to see more clearly, her heart pounded against her chest as if trying to catapult itself out of her body. Staring back at her from the depths of the slide was the ghastly clown figure, grinning menacingly with grotesque, decayed features beneath his vibrant paint. Screaming, Abby tried to run, but found her foot stuck in what she horrifyingly realized was a pool of crimson. Blood, unmistakably fresh and definitely real, oozed out from beneath the slide. The clown's otherworldly laughter echoed even louder, ringing in Abby's ears as she slipped and fell into unconsciousness. To this day, people still report sightings of McScary the Clown at the PlayPlace, and every night shift carries the haunting echoes of his blood-curdling laughter. Is it all part of a curse, a bizarre spectral phenomenon, or the harrowing result of an unsolved mystery buried beneath the cheerful facade of a fast food joint? We may never know for sure. And for those brave enough to venture into the PlayPlace after dark, may they have the fortitude to face the cursed clown who calls it his eternal playground. Number 2. Late Night at the Drive-Thru. In the depths of midnight, under a glassy blanket of black sky, a familiar setting, typically filled with the joyous sounds of children playing and the occasional bluster of drive-thru speakers, assumed a far more ominous atmosphere. The time wore on, and the rhythm of ceaseless hours echoed against the cold metal and glass monolith of a McDonald's drive-thru. John, the overnight employee, seemed to be the only living soul around for miles. His usual routine involved serving the scarce late-night customers their greasy food bags with an artificially sweet smile. However, this particular night was not like others. It was still and eerie, with minimal traffic, just the hushed whispers of the wind, a flickering neon light, and the mind-numbing hum of the electrical appliances. John was washing and refilling the frosty machine when he heard the drive-thru bell chime. He rushed to the window, assuming his most welcoming expression, only to find a black SUV with tinted windows. No single soul appeared to be inside. Must be some prankster kids, he thought. The light chime sounded again. This time irritation surged within him, his smile replaced by a scowl. Once again, there was no one. However, as he was about to close the window, a sense of dread loomed overhead. The temperature seemed to drop drastically, his breath visible in the icy air. The third chime echoed through the now foreboding interior of the fast food outlet. An unshakable feeling of doom filled him. John, now visibly shaken and anxious, decided to check the surveillance cameras for any signs of life. Cagey chills ran down his spine as he saw a figure in a creepy clown mask sitting in the back seat of the formerly vacant SUV. Heart pounding, he looked out the window once more. The vehicle was empty again. Terrified, but determined to prove his sanity intact, he resolved to investigate. As he stepped outside, he felt the ground itself vibrating beneath his feet. He approached the deserted SUV cautiously, armed with a stale baguette. As he got closer, he saw blood smeared on the steering wheel. A grim sight indeed. Suddenly, the drive-thru bell chimed again, the shrill sound echoing through the desolate night. John turned, caught in the grips of earth-shattering fear to see a clown, flesh and blood, standing at the drive-thru window. His frozen heart failed him, and he fell in a dead faint. The next day, the morning crew found John unconscious by the SUV, an icy chill still present in the air. The SUV was empty, save for a clown mask resting on the back seat, smeared in what seemed like dried blood. The drive-thru would never feel the same again, forever shadowed by that accursed late-night creeping clown scare. Number 3. The Forgotten Employee in the Freezer. The chilling tale of the forgotten employee in the freezer is one that sends shivers down your spine, and certainly not from the cold. This tale begins with a devoted McDonald's employee named Jared. Jared had been a long-standing employee, working the late shifts and finding a certain solace in the quiet of the night. He found comfort in the predictable routines, the humming of the ice cream machines, and importantly, the isolation. One particularly frosty winter night was wearily unremarkable for Jared until he received a task from his manager. The frozen patties in the freezer had been stacking up, and someone had to go down and conduct an inventory check. Hesitant but obedient, Jared donned his parka and delved into the icy abyss of the freezer. Down in the freezer, Jared's breath misted out in front of him as he began to count the endless stacks of frozen meat. The feeble light flickered overhead, casting long, menacing shadows amongst the frozen goods. But in the echoing silence of the freezer, something caught Jared's attention. A faint metallic scratch and the distinct sound of heavy breathing. He quickly dismissed it as his mind playing tricks on him. The sound, however, grew louder, distorted, and increasingly unsettling. Out of the corner of his eye, a shadowy figure loomed. Panic swept over him as he turned to flee, but in his dread, he tripped over a box of frozen apple pies, his skull knocking against the cold concrete floor, knocking him unconscious. When he came to, he found the freezer door had shut tight, locked from the outside. He pounded on the hard steel door, his breath quickening in clouds of panicked frost, but his cries echoed unheard. As the frost began to bite and his energy drained, Jared's panic turned into numb acceptance. His final moments were filled with horror, not from the freezing cold that was claiming him, but from the persistent scratching sound that had driven him to his fate. Jared was found several days later, his lifeless body frozen amongst the patties he was supposed to count. And as for the disturbing, mysterious noises he'd heard, the following autopsy revealed shards of ice and frozen meat lodged in his throat. It was concluded that in his frantic battle for survival, Jared had tried to eat the frozen meat only to choke on the icy shards. But the lingering question remains: was it truly an accident? Or was there a chilling conspiracy at play within this all-too-familiar fast food chain? The mystery persists, sending an icy shiver through those who dare to recount the horrifying tale of the forgotten employee in the freezer. Well, those harrowing tales from McDonald's certainly have me thinking twice about my next fast food run. I hope your appetite for the bizarre and unnerving has been satisfied for tonight. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video if it sent chills down your spine. Until our next eerie encounter, thank you for watching and sweet nightmares.